So Star Savior is finally here, one of the most anticipated games of 2026. It's got flashy turn-based combat similar to Honkai Star Rail, as well as a character training focus like Uma Musume. Let's see if this game is worth playing. So without further ado, let's dive right on in gameplay of Star Savior. What's up guys, it's Silpix here. Today we're going to be checking out Star Savior from Studio B-Side. Some of you may know these devs because they're also the same ones as the other popular mobile game, Counterside. You'll also be seeing a collab with some of their characters as well with this release of Star Savior. And at the time of this recording, I'll have roughly 40 hours into this game, so hopefully this will cover enough of the game from the early to mid-game aspects. So let's start off with Star Savior's gameplay. We have turn-based RPG combat. This is very reminiscent of games like Honkai Star Rail as well as Epic 7, where each player gets to make their own decisions and use character skills from their basic attacks to special skills as well as ultimate abilities. And in Star Savior there's also an ability to Nova Burst, which basically lets you add additional effects to your character skills on any skill. So this can work on basic attacks, their special attacks, non-attack skills, as well as ultimate abilities. And with that in mind, the strategic ceiling for this game can potentially get quite high. We'll just have to see and wait what the future units they'll release into this game, as well as how the meta shapes over time. So far in early to mid game, you can confidently lay back and just relax while autoplay does its thing to clear stages. And as mentioned earlier before, an additional gameplay aspect is the Uma Musume training like arc, where you use your arcanas, which are the training cards, as well as parent saviors to give your future saviors additional stats and boosts to progress them when you want to raise them or re-raise them from previous versions. You'll have to make training decisions such as maxing out their, for example, strength or vitality to maximize their stats. Once you've completed a journey, however, you can use the auto journey feature, which will allow you to quickly complete and raise up a character, saving you about an hour's time. That way you can jump straight into the action and combat. As you can tell from the visuals, this game has fantastic art. Overall, I think this style is very well polished, and as expected from Studio B-Side, Star Savior does not fail to deliver in its taste. However, one criticism I have is all the menus as well as all the notifications that are constantly appearing. You have to traverse through so many menus just to get to where you want to get to in the events or in the journeys and so on and so forth. Some of the events are also seem to be hidden in a sense. It's not intuitive that we need to click down here to access these type of menus to get into these event pages and then claim these rewards. I personally actually didn't even know about this until I heard from someone else who was playing the game that rewards that I was missing from not claiming and clicking on these banners over here. There's also a plethora of red dot notifications, which for someone like me bothers me a lot. They're constantly popping up and they don't go away sometimes, which I'm not understanding why, even though there's nothing there. Other than that, I'm very happy at the current quality Star Savior has to offer and hope they continue to deliver the same, if not better, in the future. As far as storytelling goes, I for one am not personally invested in any story for mobile games, but from what I hear and what Studio B-Side has produced in the past with Counterside, the story should be interesting enough to captivate your heart and keep you attached to these characters. Now onto the gacha aspect of Star Savior. Star Savior uses a spark system and offers a generous 4% SSR rate, with rate up units being 2% and 1% for certain light and dark heroes. Currently we have Counterside's collab banners with Hilde and Yumina, who both share a 2% rate on their respective banners. We also have Ashira Walls of Starlight, which is Ashira's alternate version, who shares a 1% pickup rate up on her banner. And at 200 pulls, you can simply just select a character or arcana of your choosing to add to your account. This way, you can pull on any banner and then use that spark system on anything available. Or you can even save it for future banners. This spark system will carry over and persist. So for example, as you can see here, I have nearly almost 200 spark points, which I will be saving for Rosaria's banner, which is another Counterside collab unit coming April, so I can guarantee and just pick her up day one without having to do any pulls. And so far the amount of pulls have been very generous. We're on an accelerated launch schedule. I believe Asia and Korea servers launched a couple months ago, so they're trying to get global caught up. So they're offering a bunch of tickets and polls for us. If we go back to our events tab and menu here, you can actually see this particular event right here. It has a bunch of shops, and each shop has about 30 to 45 polls each. So overall, just in this event tab menu, we have over 150 polls on top of any additional resources to help us jumpstart our game. So let's talk about the gameplay loop of Star Savior. At the beginning, you'll be brought up into all these different types of adventure modes and hunt modes and farming modes. It may be a little overwhelming. However, Star Savior does offer very easy sweep system for anything that you need to farm on a daily basis. So for example, once you clear this hunt mission, you can actually just sweep it for any time in the future. That way you can just skip all that waiting and get straight into, collecting the gear and upgrading it, as well as any materials that you need to upgrade your heroes. For the campaign portion of Star Savior, you'll actually have an auto system that will completely guide you through each battle, and in addition, many stages do have the option to auto play the next stage, so that way you can, just leave this on your computer or on your phone and then go do something else and come back to completing an entire chapter of story or the campaign, or even the corridor, which is their tower system. I believe there's over 100 floors for you to complete, so you can also just auto that as well, and it'll bring you to the next stage until you reach your account limits. As far as performance goes for Star Savior, I've been playing on my emulator as well as on Steam, the PC version or the PC client of the game, and I've had no issues so far with performance, so hopefully they can continue keeping up with this quality and keeping things under control in that aspect. So who is Star Savior actually for? What type of audience are they trying to build? Well, I for one think they can cater to both sides of the heavy PvPers as well as the casual gamers. There's a lot of fun things for you to do in this game. I think casual collectors will also be enjoying their time here so far. There's a lot of pulls, a lot of gems, a lot of tickets that you can use and collect and expand your account. And for those who are more into the PvP aspect, well, you need to hit that end game portion of the game and then get to grinding on those gears. Hopefully, they make things similar to like Epic 7, where PvP will be very easily accessible, and they'll give out, some pre-upgraded gear maybe with high rolls and speed. Speed in these PvP type of games is probably the most important stat in the game. So my overall verdict of Star Savior is that this game is very promising and definitely worth a try. I'm hoping in the future, if anything comes up, the dev team is very communicative with us and tells us what's going on their end. These type of games, the companies as well as the player base, they need to, communicate back and forth to make sure everything's working, keep things in balance. Metas and power creep are often seen in PvP type of games, and they can become especially pronounced over time. So hopefully they keep the power creep in check, and things will be great. Hopefully the dev teams listen to the players, and we can, continue playing and enjoying Star Savior. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and hopefully if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm also live at twitch.tv/silpix, and streaming as often as I can.